Okay, so you are listing your house, or maybe you're already in the process of being under contract. Congratulations. Wherever you are in the selling process, I'm so excited for you and thank you for trusting me to help you with this. So, I want to give you one thing that is going to help you. It's going to make things a lot smoother for your transaction at large. And if you do this, if you do this one little thing that I'm asking you to think about today, it's going to help you get to the finish line, get to the closing table a lot smoother. So I want to talk about inspections. This is the dreaded part of some transactions, and sometimes people don't even blink an eye, and maybe you should. So I want to give you a tip, because at this point you're done, right? You have done the open houses, you have maybe battled with the market, maybe you listed it at one price and then your neighbor across the street sold for under market value and completely changed your comps. Maybe you went through a whole whirlwind of trying to keep your house clean. There's so many things that I know it's so challenging to pick up your life and move it, let alone sell your house. So now you're getting to that closing table and you have inspections. So I want to give you a tip to not be so reactive but proactive at this point, because that is one of the top reasons why so many deals go south, unfortunately, is the inspections. It's either financing or inspections. So let's talk about how we can protect you from that in the future. So the very best thing that you can do is to have an inspection before you go on market. Now maybe we're past that point and you're already on market, and maybe you're having your inspection in a couple of days. The buyer ordered the inspection, which is the normal, series of events. Your buyer's going to order their own inspection. And some people give a little pullback, like, Joanie, why would I need to order my own inspection, pay for an inspector when my buyer's going to do that as well? And the reason is there's something called buyer math. So buyer math is very different than seller math and very different from reality sometimes. I literally, I'm working on saving this deal. I had a sweet seller who was under contract. They had gone through so much, and they were on market for over a year. They did a for sale by owner, then they had another brokerage, and then that didn't work, and they reached out to me. We finally got a buyer. This was so exciting because they had been through so much. We got under contract, and then there was a lot of pullback with the repairs. So up front they said, we don't want to do any repairs. So we did it on an as-is contract, and that is not my favorite for my sellers, and there's lots of reasons. We can talk about that in another time. But we did it on an as-is. So obviously that gave the buyer the right to pull out of the contract if they didn't like anything they saw in the inspection. And the seller was very confident. They knew that nothing was going to be wrong with their perfect home. Well, come to find out, there were some things, and in the buyer's mind, it was so much bigger than what it actually was. They ended up pulling out. Now we're working on coming to terms, and it's been kind of comical. Not really. This is a big deal. But the buyer was thinking that there's these newer windows in this house. This house had brand new double pane, beautiful windows put in 2017. They're gorgeous, and one of the windows is fogged up, so the seal has broken. And in the buyer's mind, this is going to be a $20,000 repair. Come to find out, I got someone out there today. It was $675 for the part and for the labor to have that window replaced. So big difference between what the buyers think and what the seller, obviously the seller thought it was no big deal. Well, it was sort of a big deal, but it was definitely not a $20,000 fix. Also, there were electrical repairs that were called out. And again, the buyer is thinking, oh my goodness, I cannot go through this again. I had a fire in my house years ago. My house literally burned down. So they're thinking that this is, they're walking into a home that's going to get burnt down from electrical issues, when really it was just about $20 worth of repairs that need to be done. So the seller remedied that. That's all good. So we are working on still getting to the closing table on that one. But it just shows that there can be so much fear, and rightfully so. As a buyer, you should be really, aware of what you're getting into. So I want to talk about being proactive. So again, if you are able to do an inspection before you go on market or before your buyer has that inspection, you're going to be able to know beforehand. And I'm going to give you some things that will come up typically, maybe not with your home, but just give you some examples of what I see very frequently in the inspection reports. And maybe these are things that, either you can look for yourself. So maybe hiring an inspector is not going to be doable. Maybe it's not in your budget. Because that could be, a few $100s to do, several $100s, depending on the length of the inspection, the size of your home. So maybe that is out of the question, but maybe you have a handyman or you yourself can go look for these things. So I'm just going to give you, I wrote them down for you. So cracks and caulking. So maybe the caulking in your bathroom is lifting a little bit, or maybe in your kitchen in between your countertop and the backsplash. That's really common. That's a really quick, easy fix. If you are not handy and you don't want to do it yourself, I guarantee you have a neighbor, friend, or someone that you know who can help you with caulking the bathroom. And cracks, normal cracks, it might be in the foundation of, if you have a block and stucco home, it's a really easy fix. It's not a big deal, but it will get called out on the inspection. Electrical is called out a lot, and sometimes it's simple, like GFCI breakers aren't present or working, or your light bulb might be called out. The inspector has to do their job. They have to call it out. It's not their job to find, if it's the actual, if it's the outside light, if the wiring isn't working properly. All they know is they went to turn it on and it didn't work. So they have to call it out. So check your light bulbs, check all your breakers and things like that. And maybe your home was built before GFCIs were in code. That's something that you can explore. You can have an electrician come out. But again, if you have an inspector look through your home, they're going to be able to tell you ahead of time what's going to be called out. Carbon monoxide and smoke detectors are a big one too. So again, if your home was built at a certain point, like 20 years ago, it was not part of the building code then to have a smoke detector, say, in your bedrooms. Now it is. You have to be in your bedrooms. And the carbon monoxide detectors, they have to be within 15 feet of a bedroom. So you can just you can go to Lowe's and get a plug-in one in your wall. It doesn't have to be wired into the home for it to pass inspection, but this is something that's gonna come up. Leaks, so leaky faucets, that's a big one. Nobody wants to hear about leaks, right? Your shower head, your toilet, different things that are really simple to fix. Not me, I don't know how to do that. But probably, again, you have a handyman or a plumber that that can come over and quickly do that. Wood destroying organisms are another one, and you'd be surprised some of the stories that I hear even in the villages. Wood destroying organisms, of course, it could be the usual dreaded suspect of termites, but it goes beyond that. It could be ants, carpenter ants eating. If you have a wood frame home, they could be getting into the frame of the home. Also up in the attic. So this is a really common factor that people don't even realize. A lot of times the vegetation, which is another thing that can be called out, like your palm trees or shrubs that are touching the house, that's how rodents get up into your house. And it could be squirrels in the attic. There could be raccoons in there. My inspector told me a story just the other week of a beautiful home in the villages that had a family of raccoons living up there and just messing up the whole area. So a squirrel, a raccoon, they're gonna burrow in there, they're gonna chew the insulation, they're gonna wreck the wood. It's really messy, so make sure your pest control company is checking, or you can get up there and check. And AC unit is another one. So, if you haven't had your AC unit inspected in a minute, that's a good thing to do. Especially if your AC unit is older. If it's, over 10 years old, it might be a good idea to get in touch with, have your HVAC system repair guy come out, do an inspection so that you can show your buyer, yes, it's old, but it's working great. Here's the inspection report or the sticker to show it's been serviced. And at very least, check your filter. That will be called out in an inspection. Just, go to Lowe's, even go to Publix, your local grocery store, and you can find those filters for your HVAC unit. So I hope this helps. This is just a quick little list of things that come up, and it could be something real minor, real, small that, usually on average, the repairs that I see in a home are less than $500. Usually they're very simple. But again, when your buyer sees that and they see 20 things on a list, they're going to have anxiety about it. Depending on what contract you're in and how things are structured, they could try and wiggle themselves out of there. And just because fear, they don't really know what to expect. So I hope that this helps. Please feel free to reach out and we can talk about your home specifically and what would be the best course of action if we haven't done an inspection yet, or if you want to explore the option. Please let me know. And thank you so much for trusting me to help you through this process. I'm so excited to help you get to the closing table. And maybe you know somebody that is in need of buying or selling their home in the Villages. Please feel free to have them reach out to me. Thanks again. Have an amazing day, and I know we'll talk soon. God bless.